Eddie Howe has now said that he would like to keep the squad together for the remainder of the season. So what does this mean for outgoings, and what does it mean for any possible incomings? Of course, we've been linked with plenty players lately. Does that mean that things are about to change on that side of things with Eddie coming out with a statement like that? That's what I wanted to do the video about today, guys, is have a little discussion and see what you guys think out there regarding these comments from Eddie Howe, because he doesn't want to destabilise the squad for the remainder of the season. He said at this time of year, you have to be very careful not to destabilise the morale, the confidence, the dressing room buzz. So you can understand him saying that, but does that mean that the likes of Almiron, Matt Targett, for instance, players like that are all going to stay and hang around the team? We'll take a look at each one, because what he has confirmed is there has been no bids for any players apart from the Dubravka situation, which we all knew about. But there's been no official bid for Miggy. There's been nothing for Matt Targett. So anybody or any person that said anything regarding, oh, he's on his way here, he's on his way there, that's been put to bed by Eddie Howe this morning. There is still interest from clubs, absolutely, but no official bids. So let's have a look at it, because Miguel Almiron is one of the players that was certainly expected to leave. Charlotte FC, of course, in the MLS, they still want Almiron. They're still very, very interested, but they have not made an official bid yet. Now, that's not to say for any stretch of the imagination that talks haven't taken place, that there's nothing going on behind the scenes with regard to a possible transfer for Miggy. That may still happen. However, there hasn't been an official bid. So Miggy at the moment is, well, I don't know whether he's sort of caught in the middle, but he's still very much a Newcastle United player. Again, we know that Eddie Howe is a big fan of Miggy for whatever reason that may be, and still feels like he could give something to the squad for the remainder of the season. Now, you know, I've thought about this long and hard this morning since reading that article, and thought, well, yeah, we do have some really, really good players in that squad still, and probably have a big enough squad to get us through till the summer. Now, whether this is Newcastle United's ploy of saying that we've got the bulk of the squad there, we want to keep it that way for the rest of the season, so we've got more money to spend in the summer, where we may be in the Champions League again. We may need to bolster the squad with real quality players that just aren't available in this winter window. Now, again, I'm not sitting here saying we won't bring anybody in. I am still convinced we bring a striker in or a right winger in. I'm convinced. I don't think there's confidence there that Murphy's going to keep this going till the end of the season. He will have poor games, and we need that rotation side of it. But right now, he is streets ahead of Miguel Almiron. Streets ahead. So I think Almiron needs replaced, which is, I'm a little bit surprised that, you know, Eddie's come out and said that he wants to keep all of the squad together. He wants that togetherness. He wants that harmony in the dressing room. But really, I think he should be looking to get a couple of players at least. But that's just my opinion as a fan. Now, is there room in the squad if we don't let anybody go? I don't know. I don't know what the situation. Does he not give squad numbers to people like Matt Targett, to Miguel Almiron, if he does bring in new signings, but he wants them to stay around the club for morale reasons? But if they're not even in the squad and don't get a squad number, then how is that going to boost morale? It's really a catch-22 at the minute. It's confusing. There's Matt Targett as well. Now, Matt Targett has generated interest from Frankfurt in Germany and Anderlecht in Belgium. Those are the two clubs that have shown an interest in Matt Targett, but again, no official bid for the defender. Now, Matt Targett has hardly kicked a ball for Newcastle United in what, 2 years? He really hasn't. He's made the odd substitute appearance. Yes, he's had terrible luck with injuries, and that's one of the reasons I think that his career hasn't taken off at Newcastle, because when he originally came in on loan, he was absolutely fantastic, wasn't he? He was brilliant and was part of the reason why we, escaped relegation and finished so high up in the table that season when the takeover happened. Eddie Howe came in and everything transformed, of course, for Newcastle United. So he has done a job partly. But since then, there's been absolutely nothing from Matt Targett, and a real, I think he's stealing a squad place, if I'm openly honest. He's not a good player now. We can't rely on Matt Targett. Even he may play tomorrow. He may play against Bromley, for instance. But really, I mean, are we really judging players on playing Bromley as to how good or poor they are? I don't think we should be doing that, quite honestly. Then there's Kieran Trippier mentioned in the report as well. Now, Trippier doesn't have any official links to any clubs. All it says is that his situation is still classed as uncertain. Now, Trippier himself, obviously been on the bench a while. He came in for a couple of games a few weeks ago when Livramento was out. Livramento's taken that place back over. I think Kieran Trippier will play tomorrow against Bromley. However, his situation is still unclear. Whether he wants to actually leave, of course, his personal life may be a reason for that, of course, but we don't get into that side of things on this channel. We concentrate on the football side, and if he's not getting regular football now at his age, does he feel like the move to abroad or somewhere like that might be beneficial to him? Now, one thing we would lose with Kieran Trippier is, without a doubt, his leadership. And Eddie has spoken about that many times in press conferences, in interviews, how good Kieran Trippier is. Whether he's in the team or not, he still gives that leadership around the dressing room. When he's warming up, as a substitute, you can see him barking out instructions, if you like, or geeing the players up. And that's the kind of leader that you need. And if anything, God forbid, Bruno got injured or something like that, yes, Dan Burn is a leader himself. But Kieran Trippier has had vast experience in the big games. And the way we're going at the moment this season, we've got some very big games coming up, hopefully. So maybe Trippier needs to stay at the end of the season. But again, if he's had conversations with Eddie Howe that maybe things aren't quite working there, that he may see his future elsewhere if he wants first-team football, because he's not going to get guaranteed that now. That Livramento is certainly number one right back at the club. Eddie doesn't want to, when he says he doesn't want to disrupt the dressing room, I can understand that. All right, there's a real buzz going on in there in the dressing room at the minute at Newcastle. The camaraderie is incredible. That is, you're seeing that mirrored on the pitch now with the performances, with the way they're grinding against Arsenal, for instance, hanging on to that 2-0 lead, against Tottenham, hanging on to the win. There's a real determination in that dressing room right now. And if Eddie feels that, a name leaving might just disrupt that, then who are we to maybe argue with him? Now, quite bluntly, I'm putting this as devil's advocate. I'm not saying that we shouldn't sell anybody, because quite honestly, I want to see the back of Miggy. I want to see the back of Matt Targett. Those are the two players I think that would really stand out to me as two players to release in the transfer window. There's been rumours about Harvey Barnes and Sean Longstaff, of course, if they need to sell due to PSR. But to be honest, if they're wanting to hang on to Dubravka, yes, it would be a free transfer. That's come out now if he does leave, but it gets his wages off the books, doesn't it? And that creates a bit more money available. So what does it mean for incomings is a strange one, because obviously they've lost Kusanov now. Newcastle were heavily linked with him. He's now signed for Manchester City. That is a brilliant signing for Manchester City. Newcastle, though, will continue to be linked with names. I look at all the media reports this morning and I still see certain names being linked with the club who've been linked with for the last several weeks. Not really any new players to go through. We do have a transfer show. If you're watching this early on Saturday afternoon, 4 o'clock today, we've got a transfer show. We'll take a look at some more players linked. Now, a particular comment came in last night as to why we do the transfer shows when Newcastle are so slow in the transfer window. But it's interesting. Fans like to see who we're linked with and what they would bring to the club should they ever sign. We're not sitting here saying they're going to sign for Newcastle. Absolutely not. Not the way it's going. But there is a chance that Newcastle United still brings somebody in. And it's interesting to go through these names and see just how good they are and what they could bring to Newcastle should they sign. So that's why we do the transfer shows. It's of interest to us doing it and to hopefully the viewers as well. Now, only one thing on Fabian Schar is that Newcastle United are now apparently in advanced talks with the centre-back to extend his contract at Newcastle. Of course, he's 33 now. His contract runs out at the end of the season. I think both sides just want to get this done either way, so they know where they stand. Newcastle United obviously want to reward Fabian Schar for his fantastic performances. He's been a bit dodgy this season, but listen, the majority of the time he's played really well. And he's since the takeover, he's been nothing short of sensational for Eddie Howe. So I can understand them wanting to extend his contract. I think it's a good idea to have him in the squad. There's no doubt about it for me. So talks are at advanced stage. Schar is expected to stay on Tyneside. He's been very, very complimentary about the Newcastle area. His family love it here. He feels like he's at home. So there's no reason why I don't think that Kieran Trippier deal gets done. It probably just Fabian wants the right money, and then obviously hopefully a signature on the contract, and Fabian Schar stays at Newcastle for at least another season. But there you go. Let me know in the comments below what you think, because I thought I'd do this video this morning because those comments from Eddie Howe are extremely interesting. And it sort of gives you an insight into whether we are actually going to bring anybody else in. To be honest, the way I stand right now, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure how it'll all work. I think Newcastle themselves have got to be careful, because we do need reinforcements. There's no doubt about that. We need reinforcements, certainly on the right and as striker. I think as striker, really, we cannot rely on Isak, and certainly not rely on Wilson when he's fit, to stay fit. But just before we go, this is what Eddie had to say when asked about outgoings. He says, I think I said right at the start of the talk on January that we didn't really want to focus on any outgoings or anyone that we didn't want to leave or have to lose due to other reasons. It's not a month for me to destabilise anything. It is to try and keep the harmony of the group. The feeling in the group is really strong at the moment, as you can imagine. And for us, it's about, during a busy spell of fixtures, to try and win as many games as we can and continue that form and see where we end up. So you can see there, he's not focused on outgoings. He wants to keep the squad together. Is he right? Let me know in the comments. Keep it decent in the comments, guys. Just sort of have a proper conversation about it. Don't call out Eddie Howe or anything like that. Can you understand why he would want to do that, is the question. And what do you think this means for any incomings? Let me know. But if you have enjoyed the video, guys, please do give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you're new and you like what you see, please do subscribe. We are so close to 35k now. But don't forget to hit that notification bell as well, so you never miss an upload or a live show. But in the meantime, guys, we'll see you very soon. Take care.